March Madness and the Final Four. Seattle Sports Radio 950. KJR.
Here we go. It is indeed our Bracketology show. It is our March Madness show. It is all about March Madness after a 24-month hiatus. We are back. We're back with you. And if you're listening on the radio, on Sports Radio 950 KJR, welcome. If you're on the app, welcome. And maybe you might be watching us right now on one of our many channels. And those channels would, of course, include YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitter feed as well. It is all brought to you by Tullamore Dew. Tullamore Dew. When it's game time, it's Tully time. A fantastic Irish whiskey. And last I checked, we're just a couple days away from St. Patrick's Day. Ian Furness with you. Kevin Shockey running the show. And we got a special hour here coming up. And included in our hour, we stole the great Matt Mikolas, a.k.a. Slick Hawk. He's going to stick around because if you're watching our StreamYard broadcast, when we go to commercial breaks on the radio and on the app, Kevin and Slick will be sticking around and really no commercials, commercial free. How's that sound? Slick, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Going to be a lot of fun. Tullamore Dew, a lot big props, and thanks to them. Love this hat, by the way.
Yeah.
You chose, immediately put the bend in it, which I respect the bend. You threw it right in. I prefer, I'm the Fernando Rodney here.
Yeah.
I like the flat
You're going
bill.
flat. You're going flat brim.
Yeah.
I can't go flat brim, fella.
But either way, we're getting the job done. No, it's okay. It's all right.
I'm enjoying the reflection of the light because I feel like it really brings out my eyes. So I decided to go sans hat.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, listen, let me tell you more about our great sponsor, and huge thanks to Tullamore Dew. And I will tell you this: I enjoyed some this weekend. Maybe, and we encourage you, by the way, to drink responsibly.
Yes.
Anyway, may not have happened on Saturday night. Fantastic, smooth sipping Irish whiskey, known the world over its smooth and gentle complexity, and I can attest to that. When you're looking for something this week to sip on, especially with St. Patrick's Day, look for Tullamore Dew in your local grocery store or beverage store, whether it be Total Wine, Bevmo, whatever it might be. My first opportunity to taste it, it is absolutely sensational. I have a couple friends in my circle that are very much whiskey lovers, and I put them to the taste test, and thumbs up all the way around. So check it out. It's our good friends at Tullamore Dew. Again, when it's game time, it's Tully time. All right, here's what's coming up in the next hour. Mike Hayward, former Husky and now college basketball coach, and we've had Mike on a number of times over the years. We are going to check in with Mike at 1:20 today and kind of go through the bracket. We've done this with Mike before. Listen, there's a million podcasts out there, and there's a lot of what I like to do is kind of just go through region by region and look for games maybe that will jump out at you, that maybe could be a surprise along the way, that might just kind of, obviously that you're looking for the Cinderellas, you're looking for those 5-12 matchups or whatever it might be. But we're looking for those, and Mike will kind of walk us through some of those teams and games to look for. A year like no other with the pandemic, guys. There's no doubt about that. And we're kind of waiting to see what happens with both Virginia and Kansas. And Kansas has a local flavor to it because they're taking on Eastern Washington in the first round. There's other teams that have major injury issues, Villanova being at the top of the list. Certainly, there's no doubt that Michigan, without Isaiah Livers, is a different basketball team than they've been. So there's a lot of things to kind of get into as you look at those seed lines. We'll probably have some quad talk as well, quad 1, quad 2. Not quite sure how a team that's 1-7 in quad 1, Syracuse, gets in, but it seems like they were safely into the mix. They have the same number of quad 1 wins as Washington and Washington State this year.
Well, they just eked them out.
But somehow they made their way in. So what does all that mean? If we've learned nothing more from Gary Parrish, our weekly visits with him on Thursdays, those should matter. But obviously there's a lot of things out there. So we'll get into that. Now, 24 months, guys, since we had a bracket. 24 months since we had a chance to fill out a bracket as well.
There it is.
People are sitting at home and they're asking themselves, okay, I need to – and I'll tell you this. A lot of people probably, just because of the way the office structure is now, like you may not have the same old office structure. If we're being honest, most people do their brackets through their office, right? So we've got you covered here at KJR. Bracket Madness presented by Hammer and Nail, Redbox, Polar Bear Exterior Solution, Lakeland Village Golf Course, Hendrick's Organics, T-Mobile, and Tullamore Dew. Our Bracket Madness is up there right now at sportsradiokjr.com. You can fill out your Bracket Madness bracket and have to do so before 9 a.m. Thursday. Is that right? 9 a.m. Thursday?
No, I'm
wrong.
working on that for clarification because it's the first four is not part of it, so it should be 9 a.m. Friday, I believe. But look, I'm 98% sure that it's 9 a.m. Friday.
Okay,
because I'm working on clarification on that.
All right, and we should point out, and listen, our promotions people, they made an honest mistake. You know why? Because I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's March Madness. It starts on Thursday. Yep. No, it starts on Friday. The first four is Thursday, which we'll have here on 950 KGR. We'll have all the games on 950 KGR, as we always do. Westwood One does a great job of bouncing around. If you are not by a television and you are in the car and you're driving around, whether it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which is the second day of the second round, then we'll have all those games, and they bounce all over the place. But fill out your bracket online, sportsradiokjr.com, especially, like a lot of people may not have like the Kevin Shockeys of the world doing their bracket management for us. I know. Obviously, all in the up and up.
Can I show you something really cool that we can do on the stream now?
Yeah.
Yes.
When we're talking about what's going on in the bracket, look at what I can do with video. We can say, oh, let's take a look at what's going on. And we can actually look at the bracket. Isn't that exciting?
I think you're sharing a screen there, fellas.
I am sharing a screen. Okay. So would you like to talk about the upper left quadrant? There we have it right there. The people that are listening to us on the radio right now have no idea what we're talking about.
I'll tell you what the upper left corner says, Gonzaga, and they're the number one seed. The Zogs are. So,
and they might play North.
Before we get to Mike Hayward coming up in just a second, and before we get to our breaks and everything like that. All right, Slick, you've already got ears and hands. I'm going to make a guess here. I'm gonna guess something.
All right.
You've already filled one out.
Man, after 2 years, are you kidding me? I couldn't wait. I was trying to fill it out as fast as they were listing the names. So I like to print out a blank one, literally write the names in during selection Sunday, and then just go from there. So it took me about 20 minutes, and my bracket was filled out. So, and I signed it. I mean, once it's signed, you can't change it. So
is this like a golf scorecard? You attested already that it's all good to go, and you turned it in?
No, because on this I signed for very many wrong scores, which you can't do in golf. But no, yeah, it's over. It's done. I've signed it. It's official.
Now, is that the only one that you'll fill out?
Only one.
Good for you.
Okay.
Good for you.
I have not yet done mine. And one of the reasons, and this is why I'm convinced that Slick is a total moron, is because this year, even if you've already filled it out, the teams could change. Right. The teams could change. You could have the one seed, and my understanding for all the different brackets and how they're going to work. Yeah. So if Gonzaga, and not that I'm rooting for this to happen, but if Gonzaga has a COVID issue and cannot play, they have to report by Tuesday at 6 p.m.
That's right.
Eastern time, I believe.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. And then Louisville, the first of the first four out, will then be slotted in as that new number one seed.
Yeah.
So for the
that's
first
going to make things
ever,
tricky for me if that happens.
Well, and you get but you've. Well, I mean, I think if we're we talked about that with Parrish, and we'll have Gary on this Thursday as well for our last gasp at getting you ready to go for March Madness. But I mean, the ones that come, Kansas is a 3 seed. And if they can't go, then Louisville pops in there, right? If they can't go, I think Virginia's a 4 seed. They can't go, and Virginia seems to be in a little bit has more of an issue than Kansas does. Kansas is on their way to Indianapolis. They have one key player, I think it's McCormick, but Virginia has basically their entire team quarantined right now. So that one is one to keep an eye on. It sounds like Kansas can be okay, but those are just the 2 teams that had issues that are in the tournament from their conference tournaments. There could be somebody else that has an issue that pops up in the next day or so. But again, by tomorrow, they have to know. Otherwise, and then we start going through the first 4 out. Those teams go in, they replace on that seed line, whether it's a 1 line or a 16 line. One of the things that's crazy about this is that, and we talked about this with Parrish the last 2 weeks, is that we all kind of go down, well, I mean, can you imagine if all of a sudden Louisville is like a 1 seed or 2 seed? Well, what if all of a sudden Louisville is like a 16 seed? Or a 15 seed. You're a 1 or a 2. You're a 1 or a 2 seed, 3 or 4, whatever it might be, right? You could be a 4 seed and all of a sudden 13 Ohio, which has a lot of people excited about what they can do. Maybe they're in and they're out, or whether they're out. Now all of a sudden that number 1, that 13 seed is a team that many people thought should have been in the tournament in the first place. So. But we'll know more by tomorrow, and we think you probably have until right Friday, Kevin, to fill ours out, since the first 4 doesn't really count as well. All right, what jumped out at you, Slick? Anything? Are you chalk? Are you chalk guy?
No, I like to have a little bit of fun. Well, it's interesting because the Big
Does
Ten.
anybody think Gonzaga's not going to get to the Final Four?
I got them there. I think everybody's got them there. It just,
See,
a year like this.
I think you're probably right, but here's the key. Also, trying to win a bracket pool is sort of a regional thing, right? Because if you're playing here, everyone's going to have Gonzaga going deep, right?
Yeah.
Well, unless you just hate them and can't bring yourself to root for them.
Sure,
there's a lot of people that just hate them. I mean, if you're a Husky fan or even some Kook fans, you may just hate them so much you're like, okay, whatever happens, please let Iowa, who lost to them already this year, please let Iowa be the team. I mean, there is some of that going into it as well.
Well, and some Husky fans really love them too.
Well, he's on 3-7, and we'll check in with
one.
Yeah, I would say
so
one.
I have not filled mine out yet because I would like to wait to see if potentially we lose some big names or things like that. I like to wait a little bit. I think it is entirely possible that that the best strategy to win if you live here, where I believe most people are going to take Gonzaga deep, is to try to find a matchup that they're going to struggle with and try to get them out early.
Well,
now, I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems unlikely, but when you're trying to weigh the odds of trying to win a local bracket contest, I think that might be the most helpful.
I'm just trying to be right. And it's interesting. It's all about the Midwest this year and the Big Ten, and they're all the highly ranked schools. But outside of Gonzaga, it's funny. I have an all Texas Final Four. It's really weird.
Really?
Yeah. You got Baylor. You got Baylor and Texas in there,
and Houston.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Okay.
And you don't know you're doing it when you do it, and then you take a sec. You step back, you look. Oh my God, look at that! But all right, that's what it is.
Well, we're gonna have some fun. Mike Hayward is fantastic with this stuff. Always has been. We're excited to have him on today. Big thanks again to Tullamore Dew. Hey, the hoop season. The bonds of friendship become fanship. Tullamore Dew is made for great moments in the game. Tullamore Dew is the original triple-blended, smooth-sipping Irish whiskey known the world over for its smooth and gentle complexity. Glasses up for loyal fans, Grand Slams, and Tully dramas. And remember, when it's game time, it's Tully time. Please drink responsibly. Imported by William Grant & Sons and Company, Incorporated in New York. And we can't wait to bring you a lot of fun over the next 45 minutes or so. Oh, look at that bad boy.
Beautiful. Because of Tullamore Dew, it in fact probably will be more fun.
There has been some damage done to that bottle already. I like to see that.
I noticed.
It's a good weekend. It's a good weekend. Good weather Saturday. You can sit out on the deck and just think about St. Patrick's Day. Think about this tournament. Think about drinking Tullamore Dew.
All right.
Think about all the things St. Patrick has done for us.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, listen, settle in, enjoy yourself. It should be a great afternoon. Aaron Torres will join us at 1:45. Mike Hayward will join us to break it down. We got guys here that know what they're talking about to help you navigate your bracket. Coming up next on 950 KJR.
Did you miss anything on Puck and Slick? Not to worry. Listen on demand at sportsradiokjr.com/podcasts, on the free iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Slicky.
Chuggy!
Here we are. This is an exciting time to have this in the middle of the day.
To have this at the middle of the day, it's a 6 with Slick and Shock, which is it's a bit rare that I get to have company for a 6 with Slick. And anybody who's been with us for our Seahawks post game coverage or whatever we do knows that hey, during the break we don't just kind of sit back and let you listen to commercials. No. If you're gonna be here on the stream with us, you get to hang out with us and do what we do and talk. Hear the things we're talking about. We let you shoot in, comments, text, whatever you want to do. We'll put them up. We'll knock some of those out and answer the things that you want to talk about or whatever. If you want to tell us about your bracket, I'm not like some people. I want to hear about literally everybody's bracket. I want to know what people are doing. I want to know what your bracket is, which is why I'm disappointed in you that you haven't filled one out yet.
I know it feels a little bit dirty to come on and do the Bracketology show when I haven't actually filled my bracket out yet, but there's so much in flux this year. I'm very excited to see how it goes. Yeah. And it's funny, obviously, throughout the regular season, Gonzaga and Baylor were the two clear number one. They were clearly the two best teams. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if that really will be the way it turns out here, or if this could be the year that it really is the most out of control. Now, it feels to me you have 2 1s, a 2, and a 3, right?
Yeah, that's right. Where'd my eyes right?
I think that's what my what my math showed.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so I feel like this is the year to do it a little bit different and to go a little bit crazier. But
all right,
sure.
Liberty in the finals. Right. Let's hear it.
Hey, I've heard crazier things. Well, maybe not crazier than that.
We've
But
seen
I
crazier
think this
things.
could be a year to do that sort of thing. And so the comments are coming in a little bit here.
Good.
Eric agrees with me. And Eric, God bless you. And you got a dog there. I do think this could be the craziest one that we've seen.
Is that Duke? It says Dukes. Is that? I hope the dog is Duke. Is that Duke? I hope it's Duke. What's up, Duke? Say what's up to Duke.
Hi,
Eric.
Duke. Good to see you. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
So for those, this is the time where we're going to get some comments in here. We like to share the stage with everybody. Slick is it's a nice hat. Are you a leave the sticker on kind of guy?
No.
I know you have it right now.
I didn't realize there was a sticker, but okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna do it for today's purposes. How about
Okay.
that?
All right. I see it. Garrett, go Zags, and Tullamore do. I think they're both winners. I wouldn't expect the Zags to lose early, but I do. Do you like my strategy? Don't look at me through the window. It's better if you look at me through here.
Oh, I gotta say, it's
weird.
Well, you're in both places. I know.
I know.
Here's the thing. Okay, if you want to leave a comment, the first person who leaves a comment of one upset game that you want Kevin Shockey to put in his bracket, he'll do it right now. Who is it? First one. Right. First comment.
You know what? I like it. Okay. Well, wait a second. Now hold on a second. What if somebody says a 16?
Then you're screwed, buddy.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about this.
Okay, let's make it a legit. Let's make it a legit. No worse than like an 11-6. How about that?
I'll even say like a 13.
Okay,
I'll take a 13.
All right.
Give me a 13. We'll look at it.
The first upset we see on the comment line is going in Shockey's bracket. So let's see it.
This is, and that's another weird thing about this year. We haven't seen what guys look like or what teams look like against the other conferences.
Right.
So we don't really know.
Conference. Yeah.
I mean,
it's exciting. It's exciting. It's always exciting, but the fact that we took a whole year off, that adds to it. The fact that it's so wild that we don't know the teams because of COVID and everything, so much is in flux, that makes it crazy. I think that it lends itself to, like, for the first 3 rounds, maybe all the way to the Elite 8, I think it's getting a little crazy. But then I think because there's so much influx, that's when you really get a quote Macho Man, the cream will rise to the top. Oh yeah.
Low stakes gambling at its best. You're right, Jim. This is the fun one where I'm trying to convince my wife to do one this year. She doesn't really like doing it, and she doesn't care about college basketball at all. She doesn't care about sports at all. But I feel like this is one where I need to give her a little something to care about with all this. So we'll see if I convince her. If you have any advice for how I can convince her to jump in.
This is Americana, man. This is it. Get her friends to do it. If her friends do it, then she'll do it. Make it comfortable for her.
Uh-oh, bad news.
What?
Jeremy says the flat cap is a bad look.
Well, Jeremy didn't dress me today, and he won't dress me tomorrow. So, Jeremy, I love you, and thanks for texting. I'm just going to keep it flat, though. Ian's got the great bend in it. You'll see him back here in a minute.
He does. It's interesting. It's a nice comparison of the two of you and how you work with this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. I trust my Keith. Are you putting the money on the one that your 11-year-old fills out, or is that like a fun one and then you have the one that you actually do?
You should only have one. However you're gonna do it, with your kid or your dog or you fills it out. You should only one thing. You should only have one. I don't have many rules, many Puckett rules like he has with ketchups and hot dogs and jerseys and being a man. But one bracket, people. Come on.
I think it's wise. Let's see. Garrett.
Oh, there it is.
UCSB. They're playing Creighton.
UC Santa Barbara.
I don't know a damn thing about either of these two teams, and that's the beauty of it. So Creighton's terrible this year. I know it. So Creighton definitely going to lose.
UCSB, and Santa Barbara doesn't have a racist coach, and Creighton might. So, there you go. So there it is. So there's that. Yeah.
Let's see. Zags, Texas, Illinois, and Ohio State in the Final Four for
Love
Mike.
it. Love it.
Ohio. That's another very, very chalky situation there.
Yeah.
I feel like I want you guys to branch out a little bit.
A 1 and a 2, is that right?
I just want a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking.
What the wild one? You want somebody to come up with something like
Give
crazy?
me a 5+.
Ooh. Now, if there's a team like that out here that could put together what are we looking at? Look, Villanova, you go with coaching and guys that have been there before. Look, I mean,
missing their number one guy.
Coaching matters.
Villanova's a dangerous situation.
You want
Jamie
Georgia
here says go Beavs. Now who do the Beavs start with? Let's see. Oregon State. Tennessee. Tennessee. I don't know. Do you know anything about that other team from Oregon? The Oregon.
I know. These guys here. The one. Look, they lost to the Beavs. Beavs are hot right now. Man, they're shooting the ball well. They're playing hot. And so I have the Beavs actually winning in the first round just because I like to go with a hot hand in March. And they've got it right now.
How about your Ducks?
Hey,
How far
man,
do you have your Ducks going?
Well, I have them winning one game. I have them beating VCU and then losing to Iowa. I did. I fell to the Big Ten kind of, everybody's on the Big Ten, but Iowa's good. The Big Ten is good. Oregon is a tweener team this year. Look, they don't have a lot of size. They don't have a lot of outside shooting. And you got to have kind of one or the other to make a deep run, I think, in March. And so they're just a good, solid team, but I think they could get beat like that.
This is the important part of the show where Slick and I stop talking about things we don't know anything about, and we welcome in people who actually do know what they're talking about. Now, I'm bringing in Ian here. Don't worry. Ian's not really the one that knows what he's talking about.
Oh,
but he does have a bend
really
in
knows
his
what
cap.
he's talking about. Look at this guy. Mike Hayward knows what he's talking about. So Slick's going to disappear. I'm going to disappear, and we're going to add in some music.
Number one for podcasts.
Here we go.
And it's easy to see why. Listen to Calm Down on the iHeartRadio app or wherever get your podcasts.
Here we go.
When it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew is the original triple-blended, smooth-sipping Irish whiskey, known for its smooth and gentle complexity. Raise a glass to celebrate the spirit of everyone. Please drink responsibly. Imported by William Grant & Sons Incorporated. New York, New York. ABV 40%.
Now back to our Bracketology broadcast, presented by Tullamore Dew, on your home for March Madness and the Final Four. Seattle Sports Radio 950, KJR.
Well, we are back on the radio. We're on the StreamYard stream. You can see us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, on the iHeartRadio app. We have come a long way with this Bracketology show. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Tullamore Dew. Tullamore Dew, when it's game time, it's Tully time. And joining me right now as we come back, and we haven't done this for, I want to say it's been about 3 years. Last year, there was no Bracketology show, obviously, with what happened. And then a couple years before that, because of his schedule and coaching and playoffs, we weren't able to do it. But for 3 or 4 years, former Husky Mike Hayward and I would sit down for a couple shows at least during March Madness time and break things down. I loved his insight. I loved his personality. It's great to have him on again. Mike, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Tell people what you're up to. Get people updated on what Mike Hayward's doing these days.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm actually an assistant basketball coach at Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, British Columbia. We are the only NC2A school in Canada.
and on pause like everybody else, right?
Unfortunately, in a big pause because I'm sure a lot of people in the Northwest are aware that the border is closed.
That makes it awful hard. Makes it really hard. Well, it gives you a lot of time to watch some basketball, I assume, correct?
Oh, well, yes and no, because I'm basketball players are intrinsically cheap, so I've not paid for the full TSN package, the full TSN cable package, which I'm sure you're aware of in the greater Northwest.
TSN 5, 6, and 7, for goodness sakes, up there as well.
Oh my goodness,
it is crazy. Well, let's go through some things. First of all, how great is this? Do we actually have it back? Right? I mean, after a year off, I mean, you want to coach, players want to play. They found a way in the States to get it done at the Division I level. How awesome is that?
I'm extremely fired up, and kudos for the programs and, the players and coaches and medical staffs for getting this thing done. Obviously, it's, with both college football and college basketball, they've had their trials and tribulations with all the testing and whatnot. But I guess I'm thankful to be here, at least to have an outlet and to watch this. And I'm certainly I'm very pleased that we're actually having a tournament.
It's awesome. It really is. Well, let's go through some things that jump out. Let's just start with the West region and a team that we've all watched for all these years in Gonzaga. They're the number 1 seed. They're undefeated. They're trying to make history. 1976, Indiana, the last team to run the table. And I mean, it's really mind blowing to think 1976 with the other Isaiah Thomas, the original Isaiah Thomas, and Kent Benson and Scott May and those guys, Bobby Knight. It has been so long, and there is Gonzaga on the cusp of perhaps history.
Yeah, but history doesn't bode well in this situation, does it?
It doesn't sound like it, does it?
No, Indiana State, Larry Bird.
Yeah.
You got Larry Johnson, UNLV. You got Wichita State with Van Vliet and Ron Baker, and you got a Kentucky team in 2014 and 15. All those teams were undefeated. So what are you going to do about that? I mean, obviously none of this, what we're talking about in the grand scheme of things, none of us know what we're talking about. But unfortunately, history has a way of repeating itself. So, I mean, that's what they're fighting against. I mean, they're fighting against the ghosts of Christmas past.
Mike, do you think I heard a lot of people talk, and I just never bought into this. And I mean, you as a former athlete and as a coach for many years, I'm not. I would think you would neither. I kept hearing, "Oh, it'd be good if Gonzaga would lose along the way," and all this. And I'm thinking, well, why? Why would that be good? I thought it would be good, I would assume, if they got tested. And a team that, and we'll get to their region in a second, but basically was winning by double digits all year. They did get tested in their championship game in the WCC championship. BYU was up huge. They were up big, double digits, and then some, close to 20 points, and Gonzaga was able to come back. To me, I thought that was probably better than losing along the way. They did actually get tested.
That's a great point. I mean, as long as you know what it feels like down the stretch where you need a basket, you need to stop, you need to execute in late game situations, that probably helped them more than people realize, other than losing, say, in that tournament, on the first or second night. That's going to bode well for them down the road. But once again, I still think, the target's on their back, and the last four teams that came into this situation, any given night right now, somebody gets hot, catches fire, and shoots, 53 to 62% from the 3-point line. And guess what? You're on a plane home.
With a team like so, the teams in their region, the 2, 3, and 4 teams in their region, they've already played those teams, which is odd in that sense. Everything about this year is strange, right? But now all of a sudden you're in a region, and the regions, what do they mean? East, west, or east, west, south, and Midwest. They don't mean much outside of, they just have to separate into 4 quadrants because there is no travel. Everyone's in the state of Indiana, but in their region, they beat the 2, 3, and 4 seeds already this season by double digits. So I'm kind of looking through there. I'm wondering, who do you think would pose the biggest threat? Or maybe is it the style of play? You just mentioned something that jumped out at me. If you're playing a team that is superior in talent and is so well coached like Gonzaga, it almost feels like you better just start chucking up threes and maybe start going down that road. Is there somebody that jumps out at you that might have a chance?
Well, actually, I got them losing in the round of 32 to Oklahoma.
Wow.
And that's only because I know some of that staff. So, I mean, the differentiator here is a thing called synergy, and synergy is what all the coaches use to break down tape. And all these coaches now have gone through every single minute of every single possession of every single team that they're going to face. And this stuff, you can't understand how prepared these schools are for these nights. It's unbelievable the amount of film that these guys are watching and breaking down. And this is what this player does every time he catches the ball in this spot on the court. And this is where all the analytics come into play. And you're going to run into these teams, and they're prepared. They're over-prepared. And, say they meet Iowa again at the end of this Western region to get into the Final Four. Iowa's prepared. They're totally prepared. They've seen every single possession of what Gonzaga's done.
I'm wondering with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got 5 quad 1 wins this year. They're 5-9 in quad 1. So they've 14 of their games have been against top flight competition, whether it's a top 30 team at home, top 50 team neutral, or top 75 team on the road. They play a lot of those games. Yeah, they have 9 losses, but they have 5 wins. They have 14 games against top flight competition. Gonzaga, by the way, 8-0 this year in quad 1 wins. So it's not like, one team has just seen such better competition. You always wonder about that. Yeah, you've lost some games, but Oklahoma, just to get to this point, has played in a lot of big games against the Baylors, against the Texases, against teams like that, all have a chance to get to the Final Four. So when you say Oklahoma, I'm not sure if I would agree. I think Gonzaga, but it's an interesting dynamic because if you're Gonzaga, you're probably looking at that going, man, it's not a great second-round matchup against a battle-tested team.
Very much so. And guess what? Lon Kruger can flat out coach. So, this is a Hall of Fame coach. I'm sure few will be a Hall of Fame coach down the road, but this is why these brackets are so intriguing. And then if they get through that, guess what? They're going to have to play Tony Bennett and Virginia. And then that game's going to be 54 to 48. True, though, right?
Yep.
You got a pack line defensive team that's going to, better be knocking down threes against the pack line defense, or you're done.
Yeah, and that's a team that they've beaten already, but Tony Bennett knows that team. He coached against. Heck, he put Wazoo on the map by beating Mark Few back in 2005, 2006. So they know what they know what that's like. This is an interesting flavor in the West too. Before we move on, Eastern Washington gets Kansas, which you would think Kansas rolls. They're the 3 seed against the 14, but Kansas may have a COVID issue, which is the great unknown. They have at least one player right now that may not be playing. That's a key player. Oregon and USC also in the mix too. Just a quick thought. The Pac-12, which, USC is a 6 seed. Oregon's a 7 seed. Either one of those a dangerous team in your mind?
I got Oregon losing to Iowa. So
you got them going a couple rounds. Yeah,
I do. I got Iowa and Virginia in the round of 8.
Wow.
So I got 2 1s, a 4, and a 5.
I like that.
And just to mix it up, the other thing that I'm kind of looking at is Wichita State, and
they got Drake.
I got them beating Drake, and then I got Isaac Brown taking his team past SC, and they're just piggybacking on the Greg Marshall fiasco. So that's kind of then I got the matchup: Wichita State beating Kansas,
and a lot of times. Well, and one thing that jumps out is that those play-in games, oftentimes when you get the 11 seed play-in games, the team that wins that over the years has traditionally won at least one more game in the round of 64, even in the round of 32. I don't know what it is, but they seem to find, and they're always a lower seeded team, but they seem to always have success that next round.
Yeah, to your point, that's the same thing I'm doing with Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State gets that play-in game, which is comical because Tom Izzo's 51-21 in the NCAA tournament. The better stat in this is he's 2-2 in the NIT. He's only been in the NIT 4 times. He's been there. He's been there since Jesus Christ was born.
Mike Hayward joining us, former Husky, now working up at Simon Fraser in Burnaby, British Columbia as a coach, and hoping his team's back on the floor sooner as opposed to later, like everyone else across the country. It's all brought to you by Tullamore Dew. Tullamore Dew. Hey, when it's game time, it's Tully time. Huge thanks to them. You can comment, right, Kevin? I do believe we can comment on the if you're watching on the stream right now on the StreamYard, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, they can comment in there, and Kevin will throw some comments up if we get them as well, and questions for Mike. Let me go down to the East region. Michigan and Alabama. Michigan, the 1 seed. Alabama is the 2 seed. Michigan, though, without Isaiah Livers, one of their best players, that to me is a weaker number 1 than anywhere else when you lose a top flight player.
I agree. I got Michigan actually beating Bama in that final in that region, but don't. The thing that worries me is the previous game has got Florida State potentially could knock off Michigan there.
I like Alabama is an interesting one. Their defensive efficiency, one of the best in the country. Does defense matter much? You just talked about Tony Bennett. How much does defense matter regular season versus the tournament?
Well, I think defense matters more here in the tournament because you got to run guys off the 3-point line. The 3-point line right now is a differentiator. If someone gets hot, I still believe it full and wholeheartedly. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. If you can choke the 3-pointer off and make people score the basket, it's getting to the line. It's how the games are officiated, and then all of a sudden it becomes a knockdown, drag-out game. That's why I like Big East teams in this situation if they let them play. I like Big Ten teams if they let them play, and they're typically physical. Run everybody off the line, knock them on their butt when they get inside the paint, and all of a sudden it becomes a free throw shooting battle.
Having covered you when you played at UW, I'm stunned that you like to see guys get knocked on their ass, but that's
hey, I got that record, that foul out record, the DQ record will never be touched.
What is it?
I own that for infinity. No one will touch that.
What is the record?
I don't know. I don't care. I own it. It's mine.
Well, you know what? They probably could have used a few guys that would knock people on their butts at your alma mater this year. All right, Lee, I'm going to go back to that bracket. You like Michigan State, UCLA playing the play-in game on Thursday. The winner gets BYU. So you like Michigan State to go to the Sweet 16?
I got Michigan State losing to Bama in the round of 16.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's move to the South region. Baylor, which really people all year kind of felt like it's been Baylor and Gonzaga. Baylor and Gonzaga. We'll get to Illinois in a second, which is 14-1 in its last 15 games and is really kind of coming along right now. But Baylor is the 1 seed. Ohio State is the 2 seed in the South. Ohio State kind of an undersized team, but they took Illinois to overtime yesterday. Who do you like in the South? What jumps out at you there?
I got Florida knocking off Ohio State. And I got
that's in the round of 32, winning. By the way. Yeah, that's in the round of 32. Okay.
Right. So I'm jumping ahead, obviously. Okay. And then I got Florida beating Texas Tech. And I hate to go against Musselman, but I like Musselman's antics on the sideline when he goes crazy and gets teed up. So it's just the way I like things.
Arkansas is a dangerous team. A lot of there's a speed and a fast-paced nature to Arkansas. They're the 3 seed. A lot of people kind of like them as well to speed things up. And when you start running, Utah State is the 11 seed. By the way, they don't have a play game. Baylor at the top and Purdue. That's the 1-4 matchup. Do you see that going? Do you see both those teams getting through to each other?
I don't. I potentially could see Baylor getting through that. Purdue, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I actually have Villanova beating Purdue once again. That's going to be a bloodbath. Depends on how they officiate. Depends how Nova's missing a key player, obviously. Yep. But once again, the 3-pointer is the differentiator there. Nova would probably be my Cinderella story here. Obviously, they had multiple pauses, but Jay Wright can flat out coach. If they get on a run, they're a deadly team. Baylor, I'd be shocked if Baylor gets to the Final Four. I really would.
And there is, as you mentioned, a lot of these teams, and as a coach, coaching matters too when you get to this point, right? Like, I mean, a guy that's been like Jay Wright knows all, much like Izzo. Like, we know what March Madness is. It's those coaches. They know what's going on. They understand it.
Battle tested in the tournament. I mean, these coaches keep showing up in this tournament for the obvious reason. They know how to do this. They know how to do this on a weekend, and then they can back it up by playing another weekend. So you got 2 games one weekend, and you go 2, and then the next weekend you win 2 more. I mean, it's not an accident. They know how to manage their players. They know how to manage their personnel in these situations. Once again, it's a scouting issue now. What are you taking away from the other team? That's why we talk about defense so much. This is a championship. It's a championship weekend every weekend now, and it's all based on defense.
One and done. Final one, Midwest region. Illinois is the 1 seed. Houston is the 2 seed. I know you mentioned you like Houston. Illinois 14-1 in their last 15 games. Battle tested in that Big Ten. There's no doubt about it. What else jumps out at you from that Midwest region?
I love any team that's coached by Bob Huggins. I think those kids are all tougher than nails. We've seen them, through and through for years. Oklahoma State, I really like how they're playing right now. I think they get past Tennessee because Tennessee's missing Fulkerson, who just got his eye socket smashed. Unfortunately, I saw that actually happen when I was watching that game. But I think Illinois survives that side of the bracket.
Oregon State, by the way, what a Cinderella story there, huh? I mean, that's just what a job Wayne Tinkle did in that tournament.
Lightning in a bottle. It really is. And it's all based on, once again, a weekend. What can you do in a weekend? And these guys bought in. They played for each other. They played unselfish. They played on fumes and somehow pulled that off to get into the tournament. I'm blown away by their resiliency as a program.
Your Final Four again was what? Go through your Final Four.
Nova, Illinois, Michigan, and Virginia.
Oh, and who do you have winning it all?
I don't think Michigan's going to win it all. I'd probably go with Illinois on this one right here. And then, we talk about how many brackets. This is the gut feel bracket for me. Is my gut right? Good God, no. Not even close. I mean, we're going to be talking about this, and at what point do I bring this near the shredder?
Well, but it's the pandemic year too. I mean, this to me seems like it's going to be like what I think the odds of winning, having a perfect bracket are in the trillions, like 1 trillion something. I mean, it's this year even more so because who knows what's going to happen between now and Friday and Saturday, and if someone's going to get knocked out or COVIDed out, what have you.
Absolutely. So are we talking about Louisville, Colorado State, St. Louis, Ole Miss? Are we talking about those? So obviously I'm an NCAA coach, so I'm not allowed to bet on this stuff. But what's the line on somebody getting knocked out in COVID? It's going to happen. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. A 215 and the 2 gets knocked out because they tested positive. 2 guys tested positive and the 15 advances. Then what? It's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we just saw it last week. I mean, Duke and Virginia and Kansas all out of their tournaments. And there's actually 5 other teams, I believe, in smaller conferences that got knocked out, including a couple that were number 1 seeds in their conference tournament that had a great chance to get an automatic bid. Mike, man, you were the best. Great to catch up. Great to see you. I miss seeing you at the AAU tournaments that we used to – I'd see Mike all the time back when there was basketball being played in the Northwest, and he's out on the recruiting trail. But we'll run into each other again. Stay safe up there north of the border, man. I really appreciate it, and thanks for popping on today.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
There's Mike Hayward, former Husky, now Simon Fraser. Again, it is our Bracketology show brought to you by Tullamore Dew. If you're watching the stream, don't go anywhere. We'll take a break on the radio on the app, but Slick and Puck Slick and Puck. How about Slick and Kevin? Slick and Kevin are coming up. Aaron Torres from Fox Radio is coming up next.
And that's it. College basketball's pinnacle.
Add to all the madness by picking the perfect bracket. It's Basketball Mayhem and your chance to win $1 million. Thanks to Mike's Hard Lemonade Seltzer, the only hard lemonade seltzer made by hard lemonade experts. Enter to win $1 million now at sportsradiokjr.com.
Thank you, Mike.
That was great stuff. That was good.
Always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
Well, now we know how to get a perfect bracket because Mike Hayward gave it to us. That's super helpful.
We have him on.
Honestly, I'm not even sure if we should continue the show.
Well, anything you hear from here on out, at least from us, is going to be not nearly as insightful or informative or really anything that matters at all. But you should do it anyway because we're fun and we like to have fun and because we drink Tullamore Dew.
Speaking of my friend, our buddy Darren Henney jumps in with will the consumption of we got to work on the spelling here. Tullamore Dew, Tullamore. Will the consumption of Tullamore Dew increase my odds of winning my bracket? Asking for a friend. Darren, I have fantastic news.
That's how you spell it?
No, but you know what it will do? It's going to make you have a lot more fun while you fill out your bracket.
Yeah,
and that's really the goal here. I mean, is anyone really going to win their bracket contest? No,
well, I am.
No.
Yeah.
Slick.
Yeah. Why? You say this every year, and every year you're right.
All right, we got a little. I feel like we might have ourselves a Gonzaga fan here, and he's a little bit salty.
Wow.
Stop trying to talk yourself into a Gonzaga loss. They're just that much better. I mean, look, you're probably right. They are better than everybody else,
and
we've all thought that all year.
The best team,
but I'm
like I did.
See, I'm not even. Here's my thing. I'm not even trying to talk basketball when I want to win my bracket. I'm talking odds, and you have to know who your competition is. So if your competition is all going to be taking Gonzaga deep, then even if you are correct with them going really deep, then you're going to be up against a lot of other people who have them going deep.
This is the wrong way to approach things, Shockey. What is the best way to win your bracket? By being right the most. And if you think that they're the best team, you got to take them. Now, but here's where you set yourself apart. Then you just got to be better with the earlier rounds. And, there are a lot of different methods to doing that. I think that if you take a lot of, for instance, you look at Vegas and who are the favorites in the first round, those are going to be out there. I think if you do that a lot of the time and then maybe pick 3 or 4 upsets that you feel really good about, that's kind of the tact I take when I have this year where I feel like the team that's the chalk is going to win it and I have them as my champion. Now, in years that I don't have a popular champion, there have been years I've had like a San Diego State as a 3 seed as a champion.
What year did
that.
Year did they win everything? Matter. I'm trying to remember. What year did? Oh, okay.
They didn't do it. and again, this isn't like I haven't won one yet, but I'm just saying and if you have a wonky champion, then you can have more fun on the outside and pick more upsets and everything. But if you want to set yourself apart and still take the best team, the team you think is going to win, because then if they win and you don't have them, you're like, well, okay, now I'm nowhere near, even though my bracket was different. It doesn't do you any good if
right.
Yeah,
no, my best in our we have sort of a local pool that we do together. I finished tied for third one time.
Oh,
the
nice.
best I've done in like 13 years.
Yeah.
It's sad is what it is. It's a sad situation. Now I'm going to guess. See,
you're talking about the gas man pool, right?
Yeah. So
people know about the gas man pool.
I guess. Yeah. Our next guest, Aaron Torres, I happen to know that when it comes to people that know basketball, I believe he's won 10 straight games against the spread. If that's correct, I'm getting a nod from him in the corner. I won't bring him up yet because we don't want to waste his time. Right. But let's just say I don't know there are many people in the college basketball world who have a better kind of finger on the pulse of what's happening right now.
Wait, so you're saying there's somebody waiting in the wings that can hear everything I say that's actually somewhat of an expert on gambling on these things. I'm talking about what to do in terms of point spreads and gambling in Vegas.
Yeah, and I'm
there's somebody who knows what they're talking about just right there. You might want to give me a heads up.
A lot of head shaking.
When I'm talking out of my ass that there's somebody there who's an actual expert on this kind of stuff that can rip apart everything I say.
A lot of disappointment, some questioning his decision to appear on this show. Now, luckily, he's not going to be talking to you or me because we are clearly idiots. And Ian is smart enough to really, on this one, maybe admit that he doesn't know a lot of things and kind of pass it on to other smart people like Mike Hayward or like Aaron Torres, who's going to be on with us here in a couple minutes. Now, I'm going to warn him. Aaron, we have 2 minutes and 20 seconds left before we're back. But I've talked you up, and I want to know, we're not going to be doing as much like odd stuff here, but who do you like most against the spread in this first series of games? Maybe even in the first four.
First of all, that's a great background, by the way. I love
Thank you. I don't like how it's like you can see the side here, but so don't laugh because you guys are probably going to make fun of me. I like the Oregon State Beavers against Tennessee, plus the points. I really do. Tennessee is one of those teams all year long. It's been like, oh, they're about to turn a corner. They play 10 minutes of good basketball. They're going to turn a corner. It's their time. And they were a preseason top 10 team. They got a couple NBA players on their roster, and it has just never clicked all year. And so they played Alabama really tough in the SEC tournament. They could have won that game. And all of a sudden, everyone's saying, oh, my goodness, they're back. They are. And I'm like, dude, I've had this conversation 15 different times this year. If you're going to figure it out, you figure it out before March 13th or whatever it was 2 days ago. And so Oregon State's playing well. I don't know if they win outright, but I do like the points. But it was plus 7.5 this morning. I haven't seen what it is, if it's changed at all since then. So,
Aaron, I'm an Oregon fan. And so obviously I was watching the other night and I watched how that game went. I had a buddy who was in Vegas and I texted him Saturday morning. I was like, hey, man, get me Oregon State on the money line because that is a hot team right now. And he was already on the plane coming back, so I wasn't able to cash in on that. But I was like, give me $50 on Oregon State right now. They're a hot team.
That only makes sense because Oregon is basically unbeatable. So if Oregon State beat them, listen, so I don't know if I'm going to get thrown off air in Seattle for complimenting Oregon here, but no, they were actually playing legitimately awesome basketball. I'll tell you, I was in Vegas the weekend before, and I was looking at kind of some long shot futures that I wasn't necessarily gonna, I was looking to kind of hedge down the road, and Oregon at 50-1 was definitely one of them. So.
I like that.
All right, well, here we go. We got. I'm going to bring everybody in. We are 10 seconds away from coming back live on the air. So, Slick, I'm going to thank you, and we will talk to you later. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Slick, for doing that.
And here we go. I'm going to unmute myself here as I walk through all this stuff.
What do you mean unmute? You're already. Oh.
Now back to our Bracketology broadcast, presented by Tullamore Dew, on your home for March Madness and the Final Four. Seattle Sports Radio 950, KJR.
All right, welcome back in. Ian Furness with you, and this is a blast. Stupid NFL free agency. I wish we could do this for like hours today because big thanks to Mike Hayward, just joined us a moment ago. Excited to have Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, and the Aaron Torres podcast joining us right now. All things college basketball, and I know we've had you on before, but this is a whole different format. Now I can see you, you can see me, and listeners can see and hear us. So here we go. First of all, man, welcome. I'm sure for you, like so many, thank God we are here. We have a bracket. We have brackets in our hands. How awesome is this, Aaron?
Ian, that's kind of honestly my biggest takeaway, man. People are like, oh, what about this game? What about that game? Tell me about this 12 seed. And I'm like, dude, I am just so happy. I mean, people forget this is the only major sport that did not crown a champion in 2020. I mean, it was weird in the NBA bubble. It was weird in the hockey bubble. I know you guys got hockey fever up there in Seattle right now. It was different for college football, but we did not get it. And I don't think I realized how much I missed this whole process really until right up until the middle of last week when obviously things got cut off in 2020. And so to see the reaction, to see the bracket come out, to see people's excitement for the bracket, I understand, and I love college basketball. I understand that for most people in the mainstream, it is a 4 or 5 week sport tops, if that. But it just made me so happy to see people genuinely invested and excited about that bracket last night.
Aaron, I think you agree with me. The two most interactive things in sports for sports fans are fantasy football in the NFL and brackets in college basketball. And we had a gap last year, and we didn't have it. And even if you're the most casual of casual fans, we didn't have it last year. We've got it this year. So let's jump into it. I want to get let's get some general thoughts from you. First of all, we'll start with the big one up here, which is obviously Gonzaga. Number 1 seed, chasing history, trying to do something no one's done since 1976, and that's run the table all the way through, and Indiana did it. They've got the next 3 teams in their region seed-wise. They've beaten already this year by double digits, which is odd in itself. They're all in that same region. Your thoughts on Gonzaga?
Yeah, I embarrassed myself pretty bad. I was hosting Fox Sports Radio's bracket show yesterday, and we were talking about matchups, and I said, well, you know, the tournament committee doesn't like to have games that were already played during the regular season if they can avoid them. And as you said, Ian, the 2, 3, 4 seed all played Gonzaga earlier this year. I'll tell you, you know, I really went into this thing not wanting to pick Gonzaga. It feels very obvious to me, and it feels very, like, public to me. And then you see the draw, and I just don't see that team that is going to give them a challenge. I mean, you look at the 4 seed in their region. Virginia isn't even going to get to Indianapolis until Thursday for a Friday game. We don't know what their roster would look like for a Sweet 16 matchup. You know, Creighton also in that kind of Sweet 16 range has been very up and down this year. The 2 seed they've beaten, the 3 seed they've beaten. I just don't see the team in that region that gives Gonzaga trouble. And if they can get to the Final Four, I have trouble believing that they're going to be that close to history and completely cough it up.
That is the all-COVID region, too, is it not? You've got Virginia and Kansas. Thoughts on what those 2 teams are going through and what could happen? It's the great unknown right now, but not only are they both in the same region, they're both facing a similar challenge.
It is the great unknown. You know, there were some reports out earlier today. I have not personally confirmed them, but that one of Kansas's really important players did not travel or is not planning on traveling, something to that regard with the team. And that just shows you that we are still living in a different world. I mean, I was talking to a coach that's out there right now. He's preparing to play on Friday, but the team is quarantined in their hotel for 12 hours upon arrival, all that kind of stuff. So it is a totally different world, and that is exactly one of the big X factors. That was why when I do all these interviews and I did my podcast last night, you know, I'm hesitant to definitively say this is my East Region winner, this is my national champion, as I bang the table and probably drive your listeners crazy. Because we're not positive that this bracket is set in stone. Now, it's going to be in 24 hours, but so much can happen. And what you said, Ian, is right. It's the great unknown. I'm hopeful with the way teams have traveled, with the way contact tracing is working. I don't think we're going to have teams knocked out of this tournament, but it doesn't mean you can't get the random positive case that could put, you know, a player in jeopardy, which, of course, in turn could put a team in jeopardy.
And Kevin Shockey, I need you to make it time for Aaron to join us later this week because we're going to run out of time, and I'm enjoying this too much. So I want to do something later on. Maybe we can with on Thursday or Wednesday. But before I get to that point, Aaron, just give our listeners. You like a little juice on some things. I know how it works. So give our listeners some teams that are sleepers. You know, maybe I don't know, Cinderella is kind of an odd word, but just a sleeper team or 2 that might take a run that you really have your eye on.
Well, in terms, you know, the 12-5 upset is historically something everybody knows. And I was telling your producers, I don't know if it's going to get me thrown off here in Seattle, but I actually like Oregon State against Tennessee. Tennessee, preseason top 10 team. And they are the proverbial every time they go on an 8-0 run, everybody's like, oh, Tennessee's turning around. They're going to play up to their potential. And it doesn't happen. We're March 15th. It hasn't happened. They're a 5 seed. They finished 4th in the SEC regular season standings. they're an insanely talented team, and I'm not trying to discredit them, but it just hasn't clicked. So the plus 7.5 is one of my favorite bets of the opening round. I just think it's a good spot for Oregon State. They're red hot. They're gelling at the right time. They went through the good teams. It's not that the draw opened up for them in Vegas. They went through Oregon and Colorado to win that Pac-12 title. So I like them. I still think Georgetown, they're about plus 4.5 against Colorado. I think that's going to be a back and forth game. There's some other ones, big spreads. I think Ohio was actually like a double-digit favorite, and that's already down to like 7.5, 8, something like that. I think that number is going to continue to tick down as we get towards Friday's game. So I gave you ones that I feel like are kind of obvious right now, but I think those are the smart ones, honestly. I love the Oregon number. I really do.
All right. Good stuff. Tell people about the podcast and what you have going on this week, because people are they want knowledge. Like you said, maybe it's about a 4 or 5 week season, college basketball for everybody, but they want that knowledge this week. Where can they get it from you?
Yeah, obviously I appreciate you guys spreading the love. Aaron_Torres on Twitter. Podcast is there. My picks pool is there. I got some cool prizes. I don't know if you're doing a picks pool, so I don't want to give away too much here. We're competitors, I guess. But yeah, man, just find me on Twitter. All my stuff is there. And yeah, if you guys need me later this week, just holler and we'll find some time to make it work.
I'm gonna, as they would say in the business. How about this? Sharpie. Get a Sharpie out. Okay. Make that happen. I want Aaron Torres on later this week because this was good stuff. I think we get a little deeper into the weeds when it's all said and done. Aaron_Torres, Torres. Check him out on Twitter. Check out the podcast. You're the best. We'll talk to you later this week, my man. Thank you.
Drew Brees ruined everything. It's okay. You can say it. I get it. Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL. Thank you, guys.
Don't tell Russell that. Thank you. That's Aaron Torres joining us here. Speaking of that, we'll get into a little bit of NFL free agency coming up in a second. Big thanks to Tullamore Dew. Hey, when it's game time, it's Tully time. Fantastic stuff. Hoop season, the bonds of friendship become fanship. Tullamore Dew is made for great moments in the game. Tullamore Dew, the original triple blended, smooth sipping Irish whiskey, known the world over for its smooth and gentle complexity. Glasses up. I need a glass. Glasses up.
Oh, I didn't bring them in.
All right. Grand slams and Tully dramas.
Fail.
Remember, when it's game time, it's Tully time. Please drink responsibly as well. Imported by William Grant & Sons Incorporated, New York. Alcohol by volume, 40%. Big thanks to Tullamore Dew. We'll take a break. Come back. We will recap the first hour. We'll get into some NFL free agency. A lot of news going on. We'll get to you next.
All right. That's it, Ian. Great work.
We're out.
We are going to say goodbye to everyone that's on the stream. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and thanks for jumping in. We got a bunch of comments, which was fun. Obviously, this will all be podcast on the iHeartRadio app. And Ian Furness, you may have heard of him. He's on every day from 1 to 3 on 950 KJR, and I hope you'll join us again sometime. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you later.